Let's bring in Joe diGenova. He was being considered to represent President Trump in all of this. He comes to us from Maryland. Now, you consistently have defended the president here. I want to start with Robert Mueller. Robert Mueller referred to the FBI certain information that allowed it to get a warrant to raid Michael Cohen's office. Did Robert Mueller, in your opinion, do anything wrong?
Well, I don't think legally or ethically he did. He got rid of a matter that, according to him and the department, was unrelated to the Russian collusion investigation. And he has the authority, if he discovers activity which he believes involves a crime, to refer it to the appropriate U.S. Attorney's Office. And from the pleadings in the case, which the government filed, they say that they have been conducting a months-long investigation of Mr. Cohen. They say that many of the people that he works for are not legal clients, and they revealed something startling, that they have had him under electronic surveillance for months, including his emails. So whatever they've got up there, I agree with you, Bill, it's potentially very, very dangerous for everybody involved.
Okay. So the federal government, the U.S. Attorney's Office in Manhattan, has been tapping Trump's personal lawyer and convinced the judge they have enough evidence that he did something wrong, illegal, that the judge signed a warrant that they could go in and take everything. But then within 12 hours, a man not associated with any of this has his life trashed because somebody leaked something to the press.
Right.
Would a judge take that into account when deciding if the federal government had overstepped its bounds?
No, a judge would not. They would look at the four corners of the affidavit in support of the search warrant and determine whether or not it was proper. They might impose some sanctions, however, in the case for trashing this individual. There probably will be a leak investigation conducted by Maine Justice of that, and there can be sanctions against the person responsible, including being fired, just like McCabe was. He was fired for leaking information about a case. So the answer is it won't affect the search warrant, but it might get somebody fired.
All right, but it's way, way down the line. Now, you've been critical of Mueller. You've been critical of Robert Mueller. So we hear the left primarily saying, well, he's a former FBI agent, he's a patriot, he's an honest man, he's conducting an investigation that's vital for the welfare of the country. You don't see it that way?
No, I do not. First of all, the real culprit here is Rod Rosenstein, who appointed a special counsel where the law did not require one to be appointed. There was no basic crime. There was no criminal activity that Rosenstein identified, yet he appointed a special counsel as acting attorney general and gave him a broad mandate which did not describe any crime that had been committed. Mueller, once Mueller discovered that there was no Russian collusion, he should have shut down. He chose not to. My question is, why did Mueller not choose not to shut down when he had no reason to continue the investigation into the Russian aspect of this? And the answer to that is, I believe that Mueller and Rosenstein do not like Trump. I believe there's a personal animus. I believe that they are anti-Trumpers, and I believe that they want him removed from office, and I believe Rosenstein is in that crowd.
So that extends to Comey as well, because Comey and Mueller are friends, and Comey, I guess, I don't know for a fact, but I guess Rosenstein and Comey are friends. But I know Mueller and Comey are. Did it strike you, as it struck me, that in this 5-hour interview with ABC, Comey did not say that he came up with any evidence about Russian collusion and the Trump campaign?
Absolutely. Yes, it was startling that he never volunteered anything, didn't insinuate anything, as you indicated in your earlier opening monologue. That is another reason why the continuation of this investigation into other areas is really outrageous. For the very reason you gave during your monologue, Bill, they have stolen 15 months of Mr. Trump's presidency. Not a day has passed when he has been diverted from his official responsibilities for the American people by this outrageous investigation. That is a shame, and it is something the American people need to think awfully deeply about, and I blame Rod Rosenstein for this entire thing, plus Jeff Sessions. He never should have accepted the Attorney General slot, knowing that he would have to recuse himself.
Do you agree with me that it is very strange that Attorney General Sessions has not released the Inspector General's report on Comey? Because that's what he was investigating, Comey and how the FBI looked at Hillary Clinton emails and Russian collusion. Yet that's still not released, and Sessions knows Comey's running all over the country, kicking the hell out of Donald Trump.
The only reason I can think of for not releasing it, and it's the only one I can think of, is that they wanted to see what Comey had to say in his book and in his interview with ABC. Other than that, it should be released immediately because the American people have a right to know whether or not the firing of Comey was not only justified, but that he basically took a dive in the Hillary Clinton case and remains, as far as I'm concerned, America's dirtiest cop.
Now, you really, that's a strong statement, Joe. I mean, Comey has served his country for decades, and you're calling him a corrupt man. Now,
I am.
You got to back it up. Why do you believe James Comey is corrupt?
Because, Bill, I've been a prosecutor, a U.S. attorney, an independent counsel, and a special counsel to the House of Representatives. When Comey says that no reasonable prosecutor would have brought a case against Hillary Clinton, he is lying. He is absolutely wrong. The case against Hillary Clinton was a case that should have been presented to a grand jury. There should have been search warrants. There should have been subpoenas. There should have been an indictment. In fact, anybody with an ounce of brains who's worked at the Department of Justice knows that Hillary Clinton broke the law, and everybody knows that James Comey purposely threw the case to protect her. And what you said earlier about the Comey family's political interest in Hillary Clinton makes it abundantly clear that Mr. Comey acted for political reasons. And I think he besmirched his office, and I think he besmirched the Department of Justice. And that's why I call him a dirty cop.
Why then would he, 4 days before the vote, come out and say, we're reopening the case, we found new stuff that Hillary Clinton may have done? Why would he do that?
I think you are dealing with one of the most bizarre, troubled individuals who has ever held the FBI director's office. Just think about it, Bill. Can you picture William Webster or Louis Freeh going on television the way he did last night and saying the things that he said about a president of the United States? He has, as you said in your monologue, probably for many years to come, destroyed the relationship between any president and the FBI. What a horrible, horrible thing for him to have done. That's just part of I see this animus that he has for President Trump affected his judgment. He didn't want Trump to be president. And I have believed for 2 years or more that there was a plot, a brazen plot to exonerate Hillary Clinton illegally, and if she lost, to frame Donald Trump with a crime. Every single thing we've seen plays out that theory.
But you didn't answer my question. Why then would he go 4 days before the vote and raise the possibility that Hillary Clinton did do something wrong in the emails when he had exonerated her from legal repercussions in July? Why would he bring it back 4 days before the vote if he wanted her to win and wanted Trump out of the picture?
I think that's a very good question. And again, as I said earlier, and I apologize if I wasn't clear, I think James Comey is one of the strangest people ever to hold that office. And I can't get into his head. He thinks he can get into the president's head. I can't get into his head. I don't know why he did that. Maybe he didn't know what to do. But here's what he should have done. He didn't have to send a letter to the House of Representatives because, in fact, he lied. He never promised them that he would tell them if he had to take a look at new evidence. He could have examined that in private and never sent that letter in late October. And as it shows, he never should have sent that letter saying he was reopening. It's bizarre. I mean, it's all about him. Remember, everything that he did was about himself. If you look at that interview last night, it is the most self-absorbed, self-indulgent interview I have ever seen. I found it absolutely bizarre and frightening that someone with that brain was the head of the FBI.
What role does the hate Trump media, which is about 80% of the national press, what role do they play in emboldening people like Robert Mueller, Rod Rosenstein, James Comey?
They are enablers. They are causing this because they want to cause it. This mainstream media loved Hillary Clinton They wanted her to be president. They hated Donald Trump. And all you have to do is look at the videos of election night and see the crestfallen faces, the literal tears from some of the people on the set who couldn't believe when the president took Pennsylvania that it was over. There is an animus toward this president in the mainstream media that no politician in this country has ever suffered from.
Last question. I say that if Michael Cohen did go to Prague and lied about it consistently and did meet with Russians, that Donald Trump, I don't think he's going to survive that. What do you say?
I think he can survive it, but I think it would be a very serious development because if Michael Cohen went to Prague, lied about it, I don't know how he got into the country without anybody knowing. That would be really strange. But if he did, and he lied about it, it's most assuredly serious for him from a public relations standpoint. We don't know what it means for the president, but it wouldn't be good.
No. And at this point, Donald Trump can't fire Robert Mueller. I think he could dismiss Rosenstein if the IG report comes down on Rosenstein.
Well, Rosenstein shouldn't be in this at all. He's conflicted. He wrote the letter dismissing Comey. He was a witness to conversations with the president and with Comey. What in the world is he doing in this case? He shouldn't be supervising Mueller at all. It should be somebody else. He's terribly conflicted in this matter.
Do you think that Attorney General Sessions is looking out for Donald Trump at this point?
You know what? I don't think so. And I don't think he knows what to do. I think Jeff Sessions, God bless him, I've known him since the 1980s when we were U.S. attorneys together, and I love the guy. But he seems to be out of his element and not knowing what to do. And it's pretty clear he loves giving speeches, and he's pretty good at it. But if I were the president, I mean, I just don't see what he's doing to help out the situation.
Why would he release the McCabe stuff on Friday afternoon? Why would you do that and not hold it to Monday when you know you'll have competing narratives against Comey?
I agree.
Why would you do that?
I would have done it on Monday, but maybe by some bizarre twist of logic, they thought if they got it out before Comey's interview, it might counter some of the things that he was
already
saying.
done. It was already done.
Yeah.
Stephanopoulos had already taped it. He couldn't ask any questions about it. It just doesn't stack.
I would not have done it. I would have waited.
Do you think President Trump survives all this? Because I don't think it's going away.
It's not going to go away, but he will survive. And that's because the American people eventually, and his poll numbers are now coming up above 51%. He will survive because the American people will not tolerate a coup d'etat, which this is.
All right, Joe. We really appreciate your time and how busy you are. It's very nice of you to help us out. Thank you.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be on.
Thank you.